Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Eternal Spring. I'm Paul Thurrott, and I am here as always with my wife, Stephanie. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Well, it's finally come to this. We're going to talk about toilets. But before that, we have a couple of updates.
Yes, we have two updates to share with you. We have a couple of friends who are planning a trip to La Paz in late June, and they are doing a 3-day stopover in Mexico City on their way to La Paz. So our apartment is probably kind of 80 or 85% ready for guests. It's not 100% there yet, but we kind of outlined exactly what that meant with them, and they are going to stay there for a few days. It's the first time we've had anybody there without us, so that'll be interesting. And they will be able to report back to us on the water situation that we mentioned last time, that the hope is fixed, but we'll see. And actually, shortly after their trip, as they go on to La Paz in July, we've booked our next trip down to Mexico City. So we will be there for 3 weeks in July, coming back right at the end of the month.
Yeah, that's good to finally get that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Coincidental to this, my father was in town last weekend, and it occurred to me, we've probably never discussed this, but my dad also owns a home in Mexico. He has a place in Merida out on the Yucatan Peninsula. So we got together for the first time in a while. We were talking about stuff. He's obviously very excited that we own a place in Mexico. He's asking when we're going to come visit him there, et cetera, et cetera. And in the course of the conversation, one of the things he asked about was whether we could flush toilet paper in our toilets. And apparently this is something he can't do where he lives, which is a little confusing because he lives in a really nice place. It's like a gated community, standalone home, it's beautiful. But here's the deal. If you're not familiar with this, in much of Mexico, I guess, we've only visited some parts of Mexico. The plumbing is such that you can't actually flush toilet paper or anything that isn't human waste. And we knew about this before we visited Mexico, over the past couple of years. I mean, we had visited Cancun once years ago, and then I think some border towns before that. But we knew about this, but I can't say that we've experienced it all that often.
Yeah, we've been to Mexico City quite a few times. We've been to San Miguel de Allende. We've been to Guanajuato, Puebla, Cancun.
Mm-hmm.
I would say personally, I've probably seen this about half a dozen times, and it's typically in smaller restaurants, more remote locations, never in hotels or Airbnbs. Basically, in these places, there's just a trash can next to the toilet that's for the used toilet paper.
Gross. I've only seen this one time myself, and that's when we were in Guanajuato. I have a hard time with how long ago that was. Last year, I guess. Last year, the year before, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whenever that was.
Right.
And that's the only time I've ever seen it.
Yeah, but you don't normally use as many public restrooms as I do when we're out in the world.
That's true. Okay.
I've not seen it, to my recollection, in Roma Norte or Condesa.
Right.
But I had seen it enough that when we bought the apartment, I asked our agent, Jose, about it, because I wanted to make sure that,
Right.
It never crossed my mind at first, but then, you'd hate to buy this nice, modern, new, beautiful apartment and have to throw your toilet paper in the trash can. But he said 100% absolutely, you can flush your toilet paper.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about the pros and cons of Mexico City in other videos, and we never mentioned this particular one. I mean, because to me, it's just obvious. It wouldn't be a con, because if we had to deal with this, I never would have bought this place, our apartment. I would have just said, no, there's no way.
No, we can deal with stuff like you can't drink the water from the tap, but there's a system in place to pretty easily, in our case, buy water, or for some people, get water delivered. But for me and for you, I think not being able to flush the toilet paper would be a non-starter.
Mm-hmm.
You could never have friends or family come over and stay in your place and be like, hey, throw your toilet paper in the trash can next to the toilet.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I could have done 10 seconds of research. I don't know how long toilets have existed or whatever, but certainly all of my life. And I just could not adjust to that at this point. If Mexico was like that the first time we visited, a couple of years ago, I would have been a lot less interested in coming back, let alone buying a place, right? I mean, it just would have kind of put a halt to that, I think. But
Mhm.
why do we mention this? What's the point of this video, I guess?
The point I would say is that if you are going to be visiting Mexico, it's something that you need to be aware of. And if you are in a public stall or a bathroom and you see basura for trash in the door, even if you don't know any other Spanish, probably what they're telling you is to throw your trash or throw your paper in the trash can. And if you're buying a property, I mean, I would ask about it. It's not an issue in our area, but it's clearly an issue in other areas. We were really surprised to find that if this was an issue for Paul's dad in the area where he lives.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah. So that's probably enough on this topic. It's kind of a strange one, but it just came up and I was just like, I can't believe we're having this conversation, but yeah, this is something, if you have interest in Mexico, this is something you do need to know about, especially if you're going to buy. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for watching and sticking through this one. We'll be back soon with another video. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.